Hi guys, so we're back at Muscle Works in Bethnal Green. Very excited to take you through an upper body session this time. And this is week 1 of my mesocycle versus the final week before deloading. So you're gonna see some differences there. I'm gonna walk you through those differences as well. Very excited to get into it. As always, guys, please do like, subscribe, all that good stuff. It's very much appreciated. And let's get into this session. First movement in this upper body session, so this is basically full body, but so I hit my back quite majorly 3 times a week, so it's mostly back focus at the start. And this first movement, I've actually rotated in a lat pull down. They've got a very similar one to this, a Matrix one, everyone's favorite brand of machine in the gym, and I'm gonna be doing that single arm, and I've rotated out pull-ups. Pull-ups for me were just feeling a bit stale, I just wasn't really enjoying them. And also with the fact that I'm losing so much body weight, I was just kind of not enjoying taking that into consideration and all of that. So this is a bit more standardized. I'm sat in there, I'm locked in. There isn't as kind of much room for me to cheat the movement. So this is the first movement for today. That was my first working set. I got 11 reps. I was thinking I'd get higher than that, but it's fine. It landed within my rep range towards the lower end, so I might change the load a little bit. You may have seen I have a D handle on here, and that's really just because the easiest way to explain it is just more comfortable, and I get a better stimulus for the lats, which I'm trying to target with this movement, lines up a little bit more. And I've got 2, maybe 3 sets, because this is week 1 within my mesocycle. I'm aiming for that minimum effective volume, so just enough stimulate growth, nothing more, so that I've got room to overload in future. I'm overloading today within this session, and then next week I can overload, I can add more. If I went for my maximum from the get-go, I'd have nowhere to overload in future. So very important part of progressive overload is the progressive part. So I'm trying to stick to an amount of volume where I just get enough. So I'll be feeling that out within the session. So when I'm trying to work out whether or not I should do that 3rd set, I consider a few things. One is this is quite novel, so that might reduce the amount that I need to get the stimulus that I'm after. But also I've been dieting for a while now. This is my 3rd mesocycle worth of dieting. Minimum effective volume comes up a little bit because we've been in a deficit for so long. We haven't got that anabolic signaling from our nutritional side to kind of keep that elevated. And then I'm also looking at kind of how is my target muscle feeling? Am I getting a pump? Am I getting some disruption within that muscle? Does it feel tired? Does it feel like it's had a good go? And also foresight for my next movement. So I know I've got some back movements coming in. Because this is my first movement, I'm gonna stick at 2 sets. And then if I need to add some sets to my next movement, I will, to get the overall back stimulus that I'm looking for. That's how I'd advise others to do it as well. We've got neutral grip machine row now. So I need to find something that's in this nice position versus into a pronated. That's as high as it goes. I was just playing around where I'm holding this actual handle, and I was just missing a bit of range by holding at the bottom, whereas when I hold it close to the top, I can just pull back that little bit more, and I can just shorten the muscle a little bit better, and it just feels that little bit better. Rather than kind of just sticking to holding it in one position, you might just have to have a play around, even try pronated, see if that suits you better, but for where I'm trying to target, just getting that little bit of extra arch feels better in the lats. With my back movements in particular, you might watch a set and you think, that doesn't look that hard. It looks like you have way more left in the tank. But a naught RAR for a pulling movement quite often doesn't look quite the same as for a pushing movement, just because the technique can break down so much easier. You can start using momentum. And when I'm talking about reps in reserve, mine are kind of technical failure reps in reserve. So I'm not going past technical failure because I want to get the best stimulus for that muscle. And once my technique's broke down, the stimulus is no longer the best. There is a smudge factor and margin for error, particularly on row movements, which you will see at times. But I try and keep it strict to that as much as I can. On those reps, you may have noticed I really let my scapula protract to get a big stretch on my back. And I just find that stretch is really, really beneficial and it gets a much better stimulus overall. If you haven't tried it like that, if you haven't tried really stretching out, definitely give it a go. Let me know how you get on. Put it in the comments. So a lot of people actually will ask me on dips, is it a tricep exercise or is it a chest exercise? And I would say this for any exercise really, but particularly those kind of ones where it's not clear cut like a back exercise is generally for the back. Where do you feel it? So when you do your dips, after you get off, do you feel like you're getting some sort of pump and disruption in the chest, or is it in your triceps? And if it isn't clear cut, you can kind of call it 50-50 in terms of set if you're looking to kind of count your number of sets. So for me, I feel it in my chest and my triceps, and that's actually why I use it today. So I get a bit of chest work because my chest is pretty well recovered, and especially because I'm not hitting the lower chest, I'm not doing decline pressing or flying, and my triceps are recovered. So mostly a tricep exercise, but with a bit of chest for me. I'll be interested to hear what it is for you. Let's see this. Almost got this lined up. It's so much easier when you have your setup in a certain gym, and then this is a whole different thing for me. So This is going to hit every head of the delt probably, but mostly the side delt, which is what I'm going for. And I really like Y raises actually, particularly as like a substitute for like an upright row. Upright rows sometimes can get a bit uncomfortable, maybe stale, so I like to use like a Y raise sometimes. And I actually train my delts, side delts in particular, 4 times a week. And I think that frequency, along with the added volume and quality volume I can get done, has really helped them develop. And in this session in particular, I'm working within the 20 to 30 rep range. So it's the last session of the week, my kind of lightest session. I can really focus on kind of just feeling the mind-muscle connection, the pump, the burn, all that good stuff. That metabolic, metabolite work, cell swelling kind of avenue to hypertrophy potentially. Really enjoy it. If you haven't tried high rep for your side delts, I definitely recommend trying it because you'll probably get a really gnarly stimulus. I wonder if I could actually sit in that. Just so it's inclined. Oh yeah. If I don't hit this, this will work. Actually quite nice. Just slide back. It's very comfy. So in the last video, a lot of people were complimenting me on the guns, which I appreciate. And I actually train my biceps most of the time, at least 3 times a week. I tend to find they don't need a ton of volume. So my kind of main tips, my tips for bicep growth are basically the same for every single muscle group. But if I was to say, boil it down to some specific things to biceps, I find for most people, they recover very quickly. They don't need a ton of set volume within a session, and so they are better at being split up across the week. Recover quickly, but you don't need a ton of volume every session. Maybe only 2 sets, up to maybe 5 within a single session. Do that up to like 4, 5 times a week for some people. But I think for a lot of people, 3 times a week probably work very well. If you're already at 1, go to 2, try 2, spreading out your volume, so on and so forth. Don't suddenly go to like 5 times a week with like 5 sets every time. You'll do something really bad.